Hello everybody out there in Flosstube world. This is Vicki, aka the Virginia Stitcher, coming to you with my Flosstube video number 38. Today is Tuesday, April 4th of 2023. So welcome everybody. If you're new here, thank you for stopping by and checking out my channel. If you're a returning repeat person that watches my channel, I'm glad that you come back. I'm glad that you put up with my craziness, my all over squirreling on projects, not seeming to get anything done, but having a whole lot of fun in the process. So if that's what you like to see, a wide variety of cross-stitching projects and somebody who likes to squirrel everywhere, I'm your girl. So today I have 10 whips, and 4 of those are new starts. I know it's been a month since my last video, so I have quite a bit to show you guys, and I have just been busy. I didn't stitch every single day. I had errands. The weather is warming up. In fact, it's about 80 degrees here in Virginia today, and the sun is out, the birds are chirping, the trees are blooming, pollen's everywhere. I've got my tea to hopefully keep me from having to clear my throat too much. And this time I stole my husband's chief mug. He was a chief in the United States Navy, and his nickname that the troops gave him was Doc Guido, because he's originally from New York City. He was born and raised in New York, and he had, I guess he had a little bit of an accent, but he's gotten rid of it in the years since he's left New York. And he was a corpsman. He was attached to the Marines when they would deploy, and he was their naval corpsman, which is their medic. So they called him Doc Guido. So I stole his mug for today. I'm drinking some lemon and ginger tea again to try to see if I can keep my throat soothed with allergy season. And so I also wanted to address a bunch of questions I get on my video. I answered them the best I can by putting back a response, but sometimes it's really hard to explain things without actually showing them. I'm more of a visual learner than I am. If somebody gives me a pamphlet on the regulations on how to use a piece of equipment, here's the ABCs on how to use this fancy new computer. It's much harder for me to learn that way rather than somebody sit down and say, here's how you run this computer. So I've always been that way. When I worked admin jobs for many years before I retired a couple of years ago. So I was a fast learner, but learning with manuals was slower for me because you have to find what you need. And if somebody just shows me, you know, push this button, do this, put this here, do that, you know, and bam, you're done. Much easier for me. So I'm going to try to answer some of these questions to the best of my ability. So the first one is I had I'm sorry, I'm getting off my knees. I'm sitting up on my knees. Oh my gosh, I guess I put my thing up too high. Let me see if I can lower it down. Hold on. Hopefully that didn't move you guys too much. Yeah, when I'm sitting on my bum, I am a lot lower, but I'll hold my stuff up so you can see it. And I'll have to set my recording device a little bit lower next time. Where was I? Oh, somebody new to cross stitch. Very new. And I can relate. I understand. I was self-taught. We didn't have, I learned in to actually cross stitch, because I think I stamped cross stitched, and I did a little bit of embroidery when I was a little girl. My mom taught me on a pillowcase that she iron transferred on a pattern, and taught me and my sister how to do simple embroidery techniques, like long, you know, back stitches, lazy daisy stitches, French knots, things like that. And then I went to stamp cross stitch, and I did a couple other things. There was something called chicken scratch, even, I think in the late 70s, that I did on, I started on a piece trying to finish something with that. It was a stitching kind of thing. My mom did candle wicking back in the 70s and probably early 80s maybe, which basically it's stitching, but it's with like a off-white thread on off-white fabric. to make a design. And so I've been doing that for years, but I did self-teach myself pretty much how to cross stitch. And, you know, back then we did not have the internet, did not have YouTube, Flosstube. I did not have really any stitchy friends that stitched. I do remember having a girlfriend who I saw her stitching one time at a picnic or something we were at. I think it was one of our husband's ball games, and she was sitting in the stands and she was cross stitching, and that was the first time I saw somebody do counted cross stitch. Other than that, though, I learned myself for the most part. So I try to give tips on here as much as possible. I try to help out stitchers. This is a lovely hobby, and if all you need is a few little pointers to get you going in the right direction, great. I mean, it's not that hard. It really is not, to do basic cross stitch. So one of the things that she asked, she said that way back when she stitched before, everybody did a middle start. And she goes, I don't understand. Most people on Flosstube are starting in corners or edges, and is that the way you're supposed to do it instead of in the middle? So I told her, I said, everybody, it's according to your personal like of where you want to start on your chart. Just make sure that you're making sure your margins are correct, that you're starting in the right spot. When I a lot of times like to do an upper left hand start, because I like to stitch left to right and work my way down on a chart. Normally, that's my preferred method of doing it if I can. So if a piece has a defined border, I like to start, I count in, you know, if I have 3 inches margin for all the way around, I count down 3 and in 3, and I start there. I didn't bring it over, but I have a corner gauge. Well, it's not even really a corner gauge. It's a quilter square. That's a 4-inch quilter square. So I can measure a 2-inch margin, a 3-inch margin, a 4-inch margin with that thing. I don't ever like to get less than a 2-inch margin. One of the reasons is I do not stitch in hand. I do stitch usually on a Q-snap is the way I stitch. Probably 90% of my pieces is on Q-snaps. And that was another thing she asked. She said, what is that thing you have your fabric clamped to that has white clamps? And I figured she must be talking about the Q-snaps. So I'll show you a Q-snap when I get to it, and I'll show you how I wrangle all my fabric. A lot of my pieces are large, and I get asked this a lot. You work on large pieces. How do you get your fabric manageable? And I'll show you you know, I've showed it before, I'll do it again, on tips on how I wrangle my fabric in my Q-snap. And the stitchers do it different ways. Basically, I told her there are no set rules. However you want to do your stitching. If you want to start in the middle every single time, do it. If you want to start in a corner every single time, and you can, do it. Most of the time I start in a corner, but there are some pieces that I have to start kind of in the middle, just because it doesn't have a defined border, and it might be like a Mirabilia or lavender and lace piece where it's just a lady kind of in the middle of your piece. Well, I would rather start in the middle of that pattern usually, and then I just work out from the middle. And then how you measure where the middle of your piece of fabric is, first you want to make sure it's large enough. Make sure you have enough margin. Make sure you've accounted for, you know, a margin for your piece, the size of your piece on the count of fabric that you have. And there are fabric calculators available out there from different stores. I think 123 Stitch even has one. But a lot of online shops will have a fabric calculator for you that you can use. Or you could even, I think even online, you just can Google or search fabric calculator for cross stitch. And there'll probably be one that pops up. I mean, it's amazing what you can find on the internet. So what you do to calculate where the middle of your piece of fabric is, once you make sure that you have a large enough piece of fabric, fold it in half one way, fold it in half the other way. And then I pinch and crease that middle part where it all folds together, and you got that middle fold. And then when I open it, I can see the little crease mark where those two folds, from folding it left to right and up and down, make the middle of your piece. And I did not, well, I could show you with this piece of fabric. So if you have a piece of fabric this big, you say, hey, a fat quarter will work for my piece. And now I want to know exactly where the middle is. You exactly fold it one way, and then you exactly fold it the other way. Okay. And then right here are where my two folds are. This is the open side. So that doesn't count. These are my edges. But right here is where both folds interconnect. They intersect each other. So I kind of pinch it really hard to try to make a crease there, so that when I open it, and I have to open it carefully and kind of keep an eye of where I was looking, it'll show me where I put my crease. And then I know that's my starting point. Okay. So I hope that helps with some people who are new. I had somebody ask me, they said, I thought you started with loop starts on your pieces, but it seemed like you had a lot of variegation going on in your one piece. And I do a loop start, but I do a loop start, and that's where you take one long piece of thread and you take both ends and you meet them together and you feed both ends into your eye of your needle. And then at the bottom, you'll have a loop of your fabric. Then you can catch that loop to start your piece. And I show a lot of stuff in my Basics of Cross Stitch that I filmed about a year ago. So if you go back through and you find a Flosstube extra that says Basics of Cross Stitch and tips, basic tips or something like that, or helpful tips, it's in there. Is that a perfect video? No, I filmed it over a year ago. Wasn't that great at filming videos. Still not great. It'll be coming up on my 2-year anniversary next month. But I try to do the best I can. Not a professional, just doing the best I can, sharing my love of cross stitch and helping you guys with some tips and things like that. So, but I don't do the loop start when I have an over-dyed piece of fabric, something that has variegation in it. If I want to keep the variegation, I take 2 separate pieces. So that's what I had told her. I take 2 separate pieces, line them up, thread those in my needle, and I go. And then I usually only stitch 1 stitch at a time if I want that variegation to stay true. A lot of times when I'm working with DMC and say I've got 10 stitches in a row, I'll go through and do half the leg and half the leg back. So when I'm doing with a non-variegated piece of thread, it's usually how I do it. So I'm looking down because I'm looking at my notes. Oh, and washing fabric. She said, nobody talks about washing their fabric. Do you wash your fabric? I don't. I have never washed a piece of fabric. I told her it's a choice. If you want to wash your fabric before you start stitching, wash your fabric. I know stitchers that do. I was watching Fiber Arts Amy, who does a lot of mirabilias and lavender and laces and things like that, and other kind of pieces. She always washes her fabric, I think, first. She talked about she needs to wash her fabric. I'm pretty sure it was her. If you wash your fabric, wash your fabric. But some over-dyed fabrics, some people who do that say don't wash because it'll wash the dyeing out of the fabric. So if you're working with a piece that's got I don't think I have one sitting here. If you're working with a piece that's got a lot of colors modeled in through it, you might not want to wash it if you want to keep it looking like that. Now I've heard of stitchers that do, maybe they want it lightened up. It's too dark. It's too contrasty. So they throw it in the wash, seeing if they can get some of the dye out of it. But you usually don't want to wash over-dyed fabric. Plain fabrics, plain Aidas, plain linens, plain even weaves, you can throw them in the wash if you want to, for sure. Keep in mind, it might shrink it a little bit depending on what temperature of water, and if you throw it in the dryer, things like that. If you want to shrink it a little bit, that's a tip to do that. So I generally do not wash my fabric before I start stitching, and I usually don't wash it after. I've always been afraid of my threads running, even though in the past I only really worked with DMC for the most part. But if I soiled a piece, say I love chocolate. I showed you in my tour of my craft room. I have chocolate in my craft room. Sometimes I'm nibbling on M&Ms or something while I'm stitching. And I always try to be mindful, make sure my hands are clean and don't, get chocolate on my piece. If I were to accidentally drip coffee, because sometimes I'm sitting here in the morning and I'm drinking coffee while I'm stitching. If I accidentally drip coffee or smudge chocolate on my piece, well, yes, I would try to clean it. But I haven't done that yet. I pretty much try to make sure my hands are clean before I touch my fabric. And so usually I don't have to worry about my pieces looking soiled and dirty and needing to be cleaned before I frame them. So that was another question I had. So I don't want to keep on with this for too long. I want to get into my whips. Like I said, I have 10 whips that I've worked on this past month since I last checked in with you guys, and 4 of them were new starts. Yeah, you know me, I'm crazy. So the first one that I want to show you is my, what I call, this is like a mishmash piece for me. It's from Carriage House Samplings. And I am doing a combination, sorry, I'm crinkling a plastic bag here. I'm doing a combination of villages of Hawk Run and houses of Hawk Run. I've showed this one before. So I have villages. I'm not going to take it out of the plastic. And I have houses of Hawk Run. Both of these. And some of the squares I didn't care for a whole lot. I don't want all these words. You know, I don't want words in my piece. I just like the scenes mostly. So I took and I, what I call mishmash them together. I took and picked 4 or 5, you know, I think 5 from one and 7 from the other because there's 12 blocks altogether. Where's the picture of my mishmash piece? Do I have it in here? It should be. I'm going to show you guys the chart. Oh man, I'm not organized enough, am I? What did I do with it? Is it on the back of one of these? Nope. Of course not. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Ah, here we go. So I photocopied both of those. And then I moved them around like puzzle pieces. You know, do I want this one up here? Do I want it down here? Do I want this one over here? Do I want this one over here? Until I came out with a layout that I liked. And then I just taped all those little squares into a grid that I made. And then I labeled them. This one's from houses, this one's from village, this one's from village, and etc. So this is how I'm doing my village / houses of Hawk Run Hollow. So it's using both charts. And I'm stitching this one on a piece of 16 count Aida, and this one's an over dyed like I was talking about. And this one's by Color and Cotton. It's called Aged Paper. I do have my board. One of the things I had done was I wanted to go ahead and do all the gridding so I could jump around from square to square wherever I wanted to go on this piece. And hold on, see if I can get this out straight. This is where I am. So I had finished the boarding house, Opal's boarding house, and I think this one's from Village of Hawk Run. Except I realized I did not put, there's a little blackbird that sits up on this sign. I need to put him. Because there were 2 dogs up on this fence. They look kind of funny to me, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to put those in. But I do want to put the little blackbird, so I need to remember to go back and do that. But I had started on this one, which is from Houses of Hawk Run. And so I got the bottom part done here, and I started putting in the house. I have a door and a window, and I was going to go up and frame in the house here. But this one, I am going to make a change to this one. This one has words at the top that say, when I am dead and in my grave. And I don't want that on there. It says it up here, when I am dead and in my grave. So instead, what I thought I would do, this kind of diamond border, I'm just going to take the top part, that's the dark, dark blue, and just do like a zigzag up there to take up that space. And I counted in it, it should fit. So I'm going to do that, repeat this blue, just the top part before you get to just this zigzag, this right here, just this top blue part. I'm going to put along up here on top of the house. So that is my Villages, Houses of Hawk Run mishmash piece so far. So I was working on that. So I had already had this one done. So that's where I was working this past month. This was a piece that I had out in the TV room that I was working on and watching some TV with my husband. But in honesty, I wasn't out there a whole lot stitching. And we watched some movies and stuff, and I didn't stitch a lot this month in that room. I just was sitting there vegging, chilling with my husband, just watching a show. So I didn't get my stitching, you know, much of my stitching done, as I usually would in there. But I'll put these in there. Then I worked on another Hawk Run piece, and that one is my map of Hawk Run. Okay, so let me get that one out. I'll show you guys that one. And I don't think I got too much more on this one. This one's way back at the, like a month ago. So I got to remember what exactly I stitched on this piece. But my map of Hawk Run looks like this. And I have made my water, I switched to a bluer color. I'm using 518, that's what it says, in place of, I think it's 920 something. I'm using 518. So I'm using a little brighter blue for the water, the blue parts. Man, my throat, I'm sorry, people. I always have allergies. I think I have year-round allergies, and it's just a constant for me. It's annoying. It's annoying. And I am stitching this one on a piece of 16 count Aida and over dyed by Picture This Plus in the color Heartland. Heartland by Picture This Plus. What did I do on this one? I haven't marked that I worked on it, but I think I only worked on it like one more day since I last showed it to you guys. But I thought I'd go ahead and show it to you anyway. Show you what I've been working on. So that's where I am on Village of Hawk Run. So, shoot, I don't know. Did I work on this one again? I had it marked that I did. I don't know. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did. I was working over here. I know, and I showed you that before. So maybe I did just a little bit more there. I don't know. Well, if I showed it to you before, you'll see it again. So this is Picture This Plus Heartland, 16 count Aida. And so this is the length of the piece. This is how long it's going to be, because it goes down to about here. So, and it goes across to there. So that's how big this piece is going to be. For pieces that I work on, that's not that big. I call this a medium-sized project. So it's got a lot of stitching in it, though. It's beautiful. It's fun. I love it. I love all of my Hawk Runs. I really do. They're fun pieces to stitch on. And I think all of my Hawk Runs are being stitched on Aida. I don't think any of them are stitched on even weave. I'm going to have to rearrange my bags after. My video. So the next one I worked on was Oh Joyous Day by Blackbird Designs, and it looks like this. I'm sure you've seen it. A lot of people have stitched it. It's been around for a little while. It's not brand new. Neither are the Hawk Runs. And I think I only did just a little bit up here. I want to say that I don't know what I stitched on this either. But I have it marked down as I worked on it. So I'm not 100% sure. I may be lying. Anyways. But this was a piece that a lady was saying that she goes, well, you say you do the loop start, but it looks like you have a lot of variegation going on in your Oh Joyous Day. Yeah, because I am using overdyed, so I'm not doing a loop start on this one. But here we are. I really don't know what I worked on this one either. I think I might be lying to you guys on this one. But there you go. I look at my notes of when I've worked on certain pieces and notes of when I last filmed a video. Or maybe I'm wrong. Because I feel like that's where I was when I showed it to you last time. But here I am on Oh Joyous Day. This was one I started as one of my new starts on New Year's Eve day. With that event that was hosted by Kia B and Pam from Just Keep Stitching. So I wanted to get progress on that one because it was just an hour start on New Year's Day, so there was barely anything on it, a little bit of border. And this is another one that I stitched on maybe one day after I showed it to you last time. So I haven't gotten that far on it. And this is by Long Dog Samplers, and it's called Pandemic Sampler. It looks like this. And I am way up here on this upper part. And I am stitching this on a piece of 16 count Aida. Oh, I didn't say what I was stitching that Oh Joyous Day on. Wait a minute, back up, sorry. This one is a an even weave. What color is this? It is 28 count Lugana in the color Wheat by To Die For Fabrics. It's kind of got a, it's like a yellowy tan color. 28 count Lugana in the color Wheat by To Die For Fabrics. I think I ordered that one on Etsy. And then this one is, if the other one was aged paper, this one's another one that's like paper, something paper. Ugh. It's an 18 count Aida. I think it still has a sticker on it somewhere. Shoot, I don't know. It goes this way. I'll show it to you. This one I'm using a Silks For You color. So it's one variegated color. So one color here. I'm doing all of that color conversion. I'll show it to you in just a minute. If the other one's aged paper, what is this one? It's driving me nuts. Anyways, after I showed it to you last time, I think I just worked a little down here or something. After I showed it to you the last time, I had told you what color, what the number for the Silks For You thread I'm using, what number it was, and I was wrong. A couple of people contacted me and said, we looked it up, we were going to order it, but it looks more like a different number than what you said. So now I want to come on here and publicly correct myself. I am stitching this on a piece of Silks For You. So it's Silks and the number 4 and the letter U. And it's PR181. And see the variegations going on in this thread? It's beautiful silk. I ordered a hank of this, so I will have plenty. Because this is the only piece that I am stitching with one thread right now. This is on 18 count, so 2 threads were too bulky on this 18 count overdyed piece of fabric. So I decided to stitch this one with only 1 thread. So that's where I am on this one. And then the other question that I had, one of the questions was, how do I wrangle all my large fabric? So since I have a piece here in a Q-snap, that's a rather large piece because this pandemic is going to be large. It's on a big piece of fabric. I take, over on these 2 sides, the fabric's not, there's not a whole lot of extra fabric because I'm up here in this upper corner. So this is just my margin here. So I just put that in the Q-snap, but the sides that are long still, I double them up, and you will see this piece right here, I took the end of it and I folded it in half and I stuck it in the Q-snap that way. So this is doubled over. So instead of it being like about 8-10 inches of fabric hanging off the side, there's only about 4 or 5 inches of fabric hanging over the side. Then I took and did the same thing here. I've taken and I've found the bottom edge of my fabric, folded it up, put it in my Q-snap. But because this side is so much longer, I rolled it up. See, I have longer piece here, where when it's in my stand, when I'm stitching, the fabric would be laying in my lap and kind of getting in my way a little bit. So I take and I roll it up, and I ordered these off of Amazon. I can try and link it if I can remember in my description box below. People are always asking, what are those things? they're like, I call them magnetic bungee ties. And mine measure about 8 inches long. There are different lengths. I find, because they have some that are really short, and I find those are too short because I need to get them around the thickness of my Q-snap even. And then when I have fabric all rolled up, I need to have enough extra for this to hold and go around my piece. Also, when I'm working on a frame, a scroll frame, sometimes the scroll frames aren't attached on the sides. And so sometimes the fabric can be a little loose, and I like to tighten it. So I'll just take it and wrap it around the frame and pull it tight so it pulls my fabric taut on the sides. But these are just stretchy rubber kind of material, latexy, and then they have magnets in the ends, so they magnetize to each other. And when I purchased them, I think I got about a set of 12 of a bunch of different colors. So, because I might have a couple, yeah, I have 2 more on one that's on my stand right now that I'm going to work on today. So, I just ordered these off of Amazon. Easy to use to wrangle your fabric. So that's what I do when I'm working with a larger piece of fabric. And I stand corrected on my color that I told you guys for my my piece, my pandemic piece. So that's that whip. And then the next one I worked on, I just pulled this up one day also, because this was, I'm trying to make this kind of unofficially, I'm trying to kind of, so I'm not so much, maybe too much all over the place with my stitching. I'm trying to kind of have a little bit of set days if I can. I'm not holding myself 100% to them and beating myself up if I don't work on that piece on that particular day, but I'm having what I'm calling a Sunday stitch. And I actually only worked on it one of the Sundays since I last saw you guys. So this Sunday stitch is my A Savior's Praise by Shakespeare's Peddler. Looks like this. And I am up here in this corner. So, and I'm stitching this one on a piece of 32 count Lugana in the color taupe. And see, here's another one that I have my fabric doubled over, and I did have it rolled up in those pieces, but you can see how I just doubled it up. And I doubled up this side over here because I'm in the corner up here, so there's not much hanging over the edges on this side. But this is where I am. And what I had done was I just came over and I was working over here for that one day. So this is A Savior's Praise by Shakespeare's Peddler. And it is being stitched on 32 count Lugana in the color taupe. So that's where I am on that one. My other Sunday stitch is my His Eye is on the Sparrow. Right now I have 2 that I'm working on and doing that. And this I'm using the Call for DMCs for that one. And my next one, this one, I had 2 actually, I think only 2. 2 this month. I was having a problem with the fabric that I chose to work on it, and I had to restart it. So this is a new start and a restart this month. And this is Lakapati by Bella Filipina. She is, I believe, like the goddess of fertility, like the harvest. So that's why she's carrying wheat in her basket. I think this is a Philippine culture goddess. So the first piece of fabric I picked out for this lady and just wasn't working. It was a piece that I had picked up by Fabrics by Stephanie, and it's a color called Glastonbury Tor. And it's a really lovely piece of fabric. It's a dark green, and the colors were popping off of this. But it is only a 28 count. And a lot of times on 28 count over dyes, especially like Picture This Plus, it's a tighter weave. So a 28 count usually is pretty comparable to almost a 32 count to me. And I'm not sure which direction she was going here. I think it was this way. So I started her on this Glastonbury tour. And on the camera, it looks okay. But to me, actually it doesn't look bad now that I'm looking. Of course, I don't have my glasses on. So let me bring it up close. But the lighter pieces just didn't seem like I could see through. I could see the green fabric through it. And I can more in person than you can see it on the piece. And I thought before I get too far, because I wasn't liking how the color was stitching up, I switched to a 32 count Lagana in the color Eucalyptus by Atomic Ranch. So I started her and I restarted her. And now this is Eucalyptus by, who's this by? Atomic Ranch Fabrics. So this is one of my Fabric of the Months that I got from them this year. So this is where I am now on Lakapati. And I think just the coverage is coming out better than the coverage was coming out on this one. So the colors were popping on this one, but the coverage is better on this piece. I don't know if you can tell. Bring it in as close as I can. That is Lakapati by Bella Filipina. And this piece is really, when I was pushing it up close, it looked blue. But it's actually like a blue-green. It's a bluish green color. And like Eucalyptus, it's named pretty appropriately. So what wanted me to get started on her? I was watching Stitcher Bernadette. Her Flosstube channel is Burn Stitches. And she's Filipino. And she was stitching this, I think, for her parents. And she finished it. I think it's her last video. She has this up even as her thumbnail for her video. So Burn Stitches. It is absolutely gorgeous with all of the beading and everything done in it. She's got some Karen water lilies in her. It is beautiful. So if you want to see Lakapati finished and gorgeous, check out Burn Stitches video. Throw this fabric to the side. So, because I need to frog that out. Because I'm going to save that beautiful piece of Glastonbury tour. Because I don't want to waste that. When I restart things, I end up having to do a lot of frogging. Because I don't want to throw the piece of fabric away. It's a lovely piece of fabric. It's just not working on for that piece. So my next one I worked on. Okay, if you're watching Lori from Once Upon a Stitch, she commented on my last video, and I was showing all of my Brenda Keys samplers from the Sampler Company. And she said, which one are you going to start on? And she said, ha ha. And, okay, Lori, this is the one I picked. And I didn't get, it was actually slow stitching. I'm enjoying it, but it was slow stitching. I picked the Humility Sampler by Brenda Keys with the Sampler Company. It looks like this. And I started down here because I wanted to work my way up and into this house. I'm not a huge fan of alphabets. And a lot of times on samplers, if they have a lot of wording on them, I don't usually pick those that have a lot of wording. I don't say never, but I usually kind of shy away from them. And so I am stitching this one on a piece of, what color is this one? This is a 32 count Lagana, it looks like. But what's the color? What is the color of this one? Where's my piece of paper that tells me the color? Oh, it might be in the bag still. Let me see, let me see, let me see. It is on Terrific by Fortnite Fabrics. Okay. It's a piece that I picked up, I think at maybe the Still City Stitchers retreat last year or something. Is that the right side? Yeah. This is how far I got. Not very far. Not very far at all. But this is the width of the piece. It's on a fat quarter. And I got this tree in and I started up here. But there is a lot of counting here for the trees and leaving space for the, you know, all the tree leaves, because there's spaces between the leaves. And I got the little girl started, her little dress and her little shoes in. And it's just a really light, kind of like a cucumber green is what I would call it. But I think, what did I say? Terrific was the color name. So not too far for how big of a piece. I want to get to that big, beautiful house. And the reason I picked this color, it's a springy, nice springy color. And the beautiful house is done in cream. I use Brenda Keys likes to put little pieces, little things in with your pattern. And one of them is a thread organizer. It already comes with the holes punched. So I wrote that this was for the Sweet Humility Sampler, my chicken scratch. And then I wrote down the DMC and I tried to draw what the symbol is, just in case I wanted to have the symbol on there. And the house is in this beautiful cream color, the majority of the house. So I wanted to make sure that the house would show up good enough. So I'm hoping it will on this green. And I think the roof, though, is like these dark blues like this. So these are kind of like maybe two of the main colors in the house. So, and like I said, I'm using this. I just decided, okay, I'll just throw my DMCs. I'm stitching from stash. Everything that I've showing you, I haven't posted anything on their Facebook group, but I'm in the SYS 2023 group, which is Stitch Your Stash. It's not a no-buy. It's just basically, you know, pick from your stash to stitch things. So whether, you know, sorry, I'm off screen. I got to get off my knees again. Whether you are, you can use, like, say, a new pattern, but maybe you already have threads or fabric in your stash. Try to use from there. So I do usually. So I already had this piece of fabric. It was one of my fabric of the months from earlier in the year. And I had the DMCs. So I have a whole set of DMCs. Showed it to you in my organization before. How much DMC I have. So I didn't need to buy any DMC to do that. And I didn't need to buy the piece of fabric. The next piece that I worked on, because I was feeling spring and I was pulling out all these spring-like pieces. This one is by Liz Matthews. It's Hello by Liz Matthews. And this one is Come Into My Garden. It looks like this. And I did an upper left-hand start, so I'm way up here. And I pulled this up and I worked on it for about 3 days. And this one is on a piece of 32 count Lugana in the color Antique White. So it's just a plain, basically white Lugana, because I wanted just all the colors to pop. It's so colorful. So that's where I am. Before I just had a little bit of this border, a little bit of this box. I think I had A and B and this one flower. So I came in and I did the butterflies, extended the border, extended this border a little bit. I put in the letter C and I put in these 2 flowers. And that's what I did for those 3 days. That's where I am. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that really colorful? It's originally charted with silks. I think NPI's Gloriana silks. But she does have a DMC conversion. But I'm not doing either. It looks like I picked from my stash. I picked my piece of white Lugana from my fabric stash. And I picked, as Heidi says on Stitching Faye, she says in the color of, I picked colors that looked very similar to what the colors that are here. But I didn't have Gloriana, but I wanted to use overdyes. So I picked a bunch of overdyes that were in my stash. So I have some that are Gentle Arts, Classic Colorworks, I think maybe some Victorian Motto. So just different things that were in my stash I picked. So that was one thing that I worked on. At least I got a little more than just one day work on that one. And then the next one I pulled up, I only worked one day on this one. I'm telling you, I was working on a diamond painting that I was trying to get finished, that has been sitting languishing for so long. And I was like, you know, I feel like pulling up my diamond painting and working on it some. And I have had comments that there are people that watch my channel that like to diamond paint and they wanted to see my diamond painting. So if I have diamond paintings that I have finished, which I do, I have 2, that I'll show at the end of my video. So if you're interested in the diamond painting portion, and it's not going to be very long because I'm just going to show, you know, the 2 that I finished recently. I was doing that. Other things, you know, the weather's getting beautiful. My husband and I go out for walks. We've been running a lot of errands. We've been, you know, I've been up to Northern Virginia, I think 2 or 3 times. So been doing a lot of other things besides stitching lately. And so a lot of times I was picking up something from for one day. And this was one. This is by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. And this one's called Rejoice Evermore. This was a piece that was a Nashville Expo in 2022. And I had this done, this part of the upper part. But I came in, I was working down in this band down here. And I had high hopes. I was like, oh, I want to go and see if I can get that band done. I worked on it one day. This one's being stitched on 32 count. No, this one I think might be 28 count. Ivory Lugana. With all the called for overdyes, I think. Oh, except for the red. I had to switch out the red because I didn't have it in my stash. But this was all I had gotten done. And I think I you know, brought the line for that border down because I thought it was going to come in and I filled this in. But that's where I am on Rejoice Evermore by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. And I'm working with, like I said, all the called for overdyes except for this red. They called for Lancaster red, but I'm using Mana Red by Classic Colorworks instead. And that's on Ivory Lugana. So I'm hoping to get a little more on that one sometime soon. Put my pattern back in its bag. The next one is My Royal Holiday by Mirabilia. I worked just, I think, maybe one more day on her. And she's this one. She's the Holiday Queen. She's called Royal Holiday. And I am stitching her on a piece of 32 count Lugana in the color Gingerbread. That was inspired by Heidi from Stitching Faye. And which way does she go? She goes this way. And that's where I am. So I did a middle start. Middle of my piece was probably right around in here. You know, so walked a little to the left and a little to the right. So I am just, if I'm in the middle, this is kind of in her lap portion here and a little bit of this red cape that goes down. That's it. That's where I'm working on her. Just that little bit. But she's coming out fabulous. But she will probably get set aside for the most part until the winter. Because she's my holiday queen. So I've got several Mirabilias and lavender laces on the go. And a couple of Bella Filipinas. So I've got a lot of fancy ladies that I'm working on. And I was kind of contemplating in maybe my next video showing all of my works in progress and all of the kitted, you know, in my stash of all of my, I mean, I don't have a collection like some people do of Mirabilias and things, but I do have enough for me, that's for sure. Sorry, I'm trying to put this all back in the bag and I'm having issues. I'm having issues! Oh, this next piece that I worked on, this one is a Butternut Road, I believe, piece. Let me look. It's one I started back in probably the early 2000s. Does it say? Copyrighted 1992. So I probably was working on it not too long after 1992. So it might have been the late 90s. Oh, this is the chart. I can't show that. I was going to show, though, this is by Marilyn Levette Emblem. Let me just... And some of her stuff, that's her writing. Some of her stuff has her writing on it. You know, because these are old charts. And this one is Raspberry Homecoming. And it looks like this. So I had all of the quilts done and most of the barn and the trees at the top. So I came in one day, again, another one day of stitching on this. I worked a day on this and I finished the barn and yeah, it was just parts of the barn that needed to still be filled in. All of the windows, the hay up here and that door and the top of the silo part of the barn, I needed to stitch all that. And the poles on either side where the quilts are going to be hanging from a clothesline. So I've pretty much finished all of that, and I'm not going to stitch Raspberry Homecoming. I just want to stitch the barn, the quilts, and the people. So I still got to come in and finish stitching on the little people. But this one I started on a piece of 16 count Aida in the color Sage. And like I said, I started this in the 90s, and I just pulled it out because I'm wanting to finish. This one might be told in a garden, actually. I don't have the whole... Anyways, here I am. So I only have the back stitching left to do. The trunks of these trees are back stitched, and then there's back stitching to frame in the windows on that piece and stuff. And I had, back when I had been stitching on this a long time ago, I started some of the little people. These are the aprons and the bonnets for 3 of these females, and I have the one male. I have his pants and shirt pretty much stitched in. There's a bush that blocks part of him because they're raspberry picking. So I still have all those bushes and people to put in down at the bottom, and then do the little bit of back stitching. So I was thinking, you know, if I try to keep pulling this one up, I might could get this one finished this year. And I was digging through, looking in my thing of old stash, because I had completely stitched and I believe framed Blueberry Homecoming. That's the sister piece to this one. I can't find it. I guess I got rid of it at some point. You know, sometimes I did that. I stitched a whole lot of Paula Vaughn back in the day. Got rid of all of them. I don't know what's wrong with me sometimes. Because now I'm like, why did I get rid of it? So now, if I have pieces that, I don't know, that I don't finish, or I don't know if I ever finish, I don't know if I can completely say I'm going to UFO, like totally get rid of something. I might just say, this one's not going to be sitting, it's not like my A string of players. It might be sitting on the bench, you know, because I just don't want to, you know, get rid of stuff again, because you never know if you're going to want it again or look at it again or maybe finish it in the future. So this one was another new start, and this one I started, it was a start and then a restart, just like my Lakapati, same thing. This one is my Spring Queen by Mirabilia, and I had the same issue. I was using a piece of fabric that I thought would work, and the stitches just didn't look nice because I could see through it too much. The stitching was too big. So this is Spring Queen by Mirabilia. Isn't she gorgeous? Now, unfortunately, she is out of print. I was able to find her when she was out of print, but I was at Salty Yarns when I was in Ocean City. And I was looking through the Mirabilia rack, and they had one left on the rack. One. So I grabbed her up because I know that she's out of print. She was just recently out of print, though, when I found her. But now she's been out of print for probably, I don't know, at least 6 months or more. So there may be some brick and mortar shops that still have her. Just sitting on their racks. I happened to find her hiding behind a bunch of other memorabilias. So I started working on her on a piece of Jody fabric from Steel City Stitchers. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece of fabric. She doesn't name her pieces, but it looks like this. It's kind of a beautiful aqua color. And then I think it goes this way. I was doing a middle start, which was probably about right here. And that's how far I got. I kept trying to talk myself into that this was going to be okay. The problem is there are 4 skeins of this color. It's 760 something, 70 something. It's like a cream, like 712 or something maybe. It's a cream color. But I could see through my stitches, and it wasn't coming out very bright. It shows up, but I wanted her to pop more than that. And then this is part of a ribbon that there's a sash that goes down her shoulder, attaches at her waist, and kind of drapes down. So, and this is a 28 count, and even though it's an overdyed, it was still a looser weave. And with memorabilias, you don't want to go too small because there's beading, and you want your beads to lay nicely and to fit on your piece. So you can't go too lower than, you know, I try to stick around 28 to 32 count. I don't want to go any higher than the 32 count or any lower, you know, any bigger sizing than a 28 count or 14 and 16 count in Ada. So I restarted her on a piece of lavender 32 count Lugana. And look how much brighter she's showing up. That was my problem with this one. I love this piece of fabric. So there again, I'm going to have to sit and frog. You know, I went from, you know, it shows up, but it doesn't pop, to this. Because this purple isn't showing through as much because the weave is a little tighter. So I'm loving her on this purple. So you know, a little farther than I was when I was stitching her here. So basically I've stitched this twice and Lakapati twice. So I stitched this is probably 3 days of stitching, but then so was this. So I basically stitched on her for close to a week. And the same thing with Lakapati. So for the month that I've been away from you guys, I was just restitching things. So I got to put that over there to frog one day when I kind of don't feel like stitching, but I don't mind sitting, I'm watching TV or something, and I don't mind sitting there frogging something. So my last whip is another new start. And it's a piece I picked up from Market. And I picked up 3 Teresa Kogut market pieces. And then I was at a quandary as to which one I wanted to start first. Because I said, I'm going to let myself, well, I actually picked up, I think, 6 market pieces, I want to say. And I told myself, you can start 1 right now. Because you don't need to start all 6. You got to try to be a little bit of an adult here. So this one that I decided to start was Teresa Kogut's Nature. I love the funky birds in this one. And I wanted badly to start on this one right here. Look at him. I love the whole thing. I even love the saying on here. It says, nature fortifies the soul and brings peace to the heart from which love flows like a river. And then I thought it was cute because she has A, and then B is for birds, C, D, E, F is for folk art. And then it goes down and it goes down to here in where for W she has whimsical. She likes to, you know, call her pieces whimsical. So I have a project bag that has her bird fabric that's from So Much to Love off of Etsy. And I put it in that bag because I thought perfect, perfect, perfect. And I'm stitching this one on a piece of 32 count ivory Lugana. So just a plain ivory Lugana. This isn't overdyed. And here I am. So I came, and how I started, you know, people are saying, what? You don't do a middle start. How do you do it? I measured in, I think, whatever my margin allowable on this piece of, I think this is a fat quarter. I think it was like probably like 3.5 inches by 3 inches, something like that. I measured in, found my spot, started here. So I put in the line, I did the little star here, counted this line off of that star, put that line in, then I was able to count the bird off and get going on him. Look at him. Isn't he cute? He still needs an eyeball and he needs his spots. So that's how far I got on this one. And I did work a few days on that one. So that was one of my market pieces that I ordered. So that takes me into haul. Sorry, I went off the camera again. I got to get off my knee. I get on my knees, I get off my knees. So sorry. I'm on the floor. So this one was a piece that I bought at market a little while back. And I hadn't showed you guys my market pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The pieces that I ordered from market. And then there's a couple other pieces that I've ordered since. So I said I got 3 Teresa Kogets, and I was on the fence as to which one I wanted to start. Well, I got 3 Teresa Kogets and like a few other pieces. Another Teresa Koget one that I ordered was Beauty Fades. It's this one right here. Isn't it gorgeous? And I love the saying on it. It is so true. And let me get my glasses on and I'll read it because I don't think you guys can see it on the thing. This one says, "Youth is fleeting and beauty fades, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised." And then it just has this gorgeous lady in the middle there. And roses, yellow roses up at the top. They're kind of a little hard to see. And my mom's favorite flower is roses. So every time I see roses, I think of her. She's still living. She's not dead, but roses remind me of my mom. And she is a gem. My mom is a gem. She really is. She is a beautiful woman that her beauty has not faded because her beauty comes from within. Then this one is Remember Me by Teresa Koget. Looks like this. I loved all of those flowers. And of course, I love a house with a nice pattern. Look at all the flowers around that border. Fun. Fun, fun, fun. And it says, "When this you see, you remember me." I like that one. And then I ordered a Jeanette Douglas piece. And this one's, well, I'm going to take it out of the plastic. This one's called Vintage Flowers. And I like this one. Isn't that pretty? And then I ordered from Jan Hicks. This is the first time I've gotten anything from Jan Hicks. And this is Louise Chapois, 1844. It's a French antique sampler reproduction. And what drew me in on this, I love the ribbons in the border. I'll get the glare out for you. I can get my fingers out of the way. I love those ribbons. So I had to get that one. So I also kind of wanted to start that one. And another piece that's a market piece. And this one is by Brenda Gervais, With Thy Needle and Thread. And this is Marianne Kopp, 1839. Another reproduction sampler. I love everything about this. The only thing that kind of gets me, though, this deer right here kind of looks like, I don't know, a velociraptor. I don't know what it looks like. It's a funky little deer. But I love the flower border. I love the house, the fence, the trees around the house, the drive going up to it, the path. Just love it. So I had to get that one. In fact, this one, I'm going to Ocean City for my retreat this month, later this month. And I'm going to take this pattern because I've decided I want to start this one. And in my stash, I have a piece of ivory, I think it's ivory Lugana, that could work. But I'm going to look and see what fabrics that Salty Yarns has while I'm down there in Ocean City. And I need the overdyes for it because I do not have most of these overdyes. So I've been doing Stitch Your Stash, but this may be the first piece that might not have anything from my stash. Unless I don't see a piece of fabric that I like better than just a piece of ivory Lugana. But I'm looking to see if they have any pretty overdyed something that might work really nice for that. So I might start this one at my retreat. And it'll also be I might consider it a birthday start for me because my birthday's coming up in a few days, a week. I'll be 61 on April 17th. Yeah. Time flies, I'm telling you. And then this one was inspired by, this was a purchase inspired by Kia B. She was showing recently working on this. And this is by Kathy Barrick. And this is called A Quaker Dwelling. And when you look at it like this, it just doesn't look like it that much. But her piece is coming out gorgeous. This house. I love a good brick house, stone house. They gotta get me. They draw me in. I love it. So I love, you know, the funky brickwork. Although this is charted with like sea green colors a lot in the house. And I saw that Kia was switching the colors up of hers. And I might have to do the same. And do more kind of different kind of grays and things, maybe. We'll see. I don't know when I'll start that one, but I got it because I just needed to. And then this one was inspired by Pam from Just Keep Stitching. Pretty sure it was Pam that stitched this. You're killing me, Pam. You're killing me. It's called Welcome to the North Pole by Primrose Cottage Stitches. Look. Right, I'm taking it out of the bag because you got to see it. This may be a Christmas in July start. I almost wanted to start it right away, and I was like, maybe you're already starting 4 things. I mean, how many things do you need to start? Like I said, you got to be a little bit grown up here and rein yourself in a little bit. Welcome to the North Pole. Look at it. So I am going to use probably, my thinking is when I do stitch this, I might use a lot of the DMCs. It has overdyes, but in the red, they had the DMC conversions listed. So I might use the DMCs, but I've already kitted it from my stash with the red I want to do in Buckeye Scarlet. Because I do want variegation for the red, for the train and the sleigh. Because those are big areas. And I would like to see some variegation in the red areas. The rest of it, I'm fine with it just being DMC and no variegation. And I picked out a piece of Vintage Country Mocha that's in my stash. 32 count Lugana to stitch it on. Because Vintage Country Mocha whites pop off of. This one is charted, it was stitched on light taupe, which I did not have in my stash. I don't have any more light taupe. But that's a possibility too. So unless a piece of fabric comes in from like my fabric of the month from Atomic Ranch, I get that from Stitch New England, Pam Dumont. She's doing a fabric of the month club for Atomic Ranch fabrics, and I've been getting theirs. In fact, I'll show you a piece I got, I don't know if it's this month's or last month's. I like it. I like it a lot. It's so cute. And I love Christmas. I love Christmas. I love Christmas. And I was never really a huge Halloween fan, but I don't know what it is over this last like year or so. I like a lot of the Halloween stitching. I don't like gory Halloween. I don't like blood and guts and gore. And I don't like really scary movies. I like cute Halloween movies like Hocus Pocus or something. But there's something about some of the Halloween pieces that I just absolutely love. And this last chart that I ordered in the last few weeks is by Reflet de Soie, and it's called Yvonne, I want to say Leclerc, 1905. Look at this beauty. I've been looking at this one for a long, long time. It's probably sat in my wish list, been taken out of my wish list, put back in my wish list on 1, 2, 3 Stitch, probably for 2 years. And I finally just pulled the trigger. I love this. This is going to be an epic piece. I can tell. I know. But look at the beautiful flowers. Look at the parrot, the birds, the dogs down here in the corners. You know, just everything. The little vignette here. I love this piece. So, in fact, I was considering this to maybe be a birthday start for me. But I think I'm going to do the Marianne Kopp. And I'm going to save this one for a little later. I still love it. But I'm like, am I crazy? That is gorgeous. I haven't seen anybody stitching on that one. I'd love to know if anybody's stitching on it. I might have to get on Instagram and pull it up and see if anybody has posted any pictures for it. So my Atomic Ranch Fabrics Fabric of the Month. And I'm getting their 28 count Lugana in a fat quarter. This one is called Vapors. So it's a light gray with very, very light mottling in it. It's not a whole lot. Beautiful piece. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece. So that you can't really see. I can see it in person. It's because it's so faint. So it's gorgeous. It's not, I like having, sometimes I don't mind more mottling, and sometimes I don't want any mottling, and sometimes I want light mottling. I want different. I don't want to always have everything plain. Although a lot of what I showed you was on plain, you know, ivory, taupe, wheat, Lugana. But I do love my overdyes also. And then another thing that I'm on the month club of is a thread of the month. And this is Cottage Garden Threads of the Month. And I get this from Garon Stitchery. And I'll tell you what, they bill you for it. They send you an invoice, like a PayPal invoice. You pay for it, and then 3 days later, you have it. 2-3 days. I mean, it's like you pay for it, bam, that's in the mail. I'm sure I'm paying for the month ahead already, but they ship them out quick. They are on the ball, Ronnie and Gary. So this time, it was a bunch of kind of pink and pinky reds colors. Get them all out here. So a nice variety. Look at the variegation going on in most of those. So we have Zinnia. That one is the brightest one, I think, in the whole pack. Then we have Ruby, which is a nice bright pink. And if I knew I could have enough of that to do that Yvonne Leclerc, those beautiful bright pink flowers, I would, but I think that one's DMC. This one is Vintage Rose. So this one's a little more muted, but lots of variegation. Oops, dropped it on the floor. Flamingo. And there's slight variegation in that one. It's a softer pink. And the last one is Hollyhock. And look at the variegation in that one. Oh, yeah. So if I were to, I hang these with my overdyes. So I take them when I go to hang them. And I go ahead and loosen them up. So look at how the variegation is going to look. It's going to go from light to darker. Beautiful. I did hear, and I just heard this by watching Flosstube, that evidently, I know Cottage Garden Threads, they're dyed. These are 2 dyers in Australia, and it's a mother and a daughter team that dye these threads. And evidently, Mama Cottage Garden Threads, Pam, is having some heart issues. So she's going to have a lot of medical bills, and they're doing some kind of, bunch of designers are teaming up, and they're going to make some thread packs to go with some new designs that are coming down the pike, I think in July. I don't know a whole lot of specifics on it, but I wanted to kind of pass on the word a little bit, that there's a need in the cross-stitch community to help with some of these medical needs. So, I mean, if each stitcher could buy a thread pack, oh my word, they probably could have their bills paid, their medical bills, if not paid, a large chunk of it taken care of. So, Cottage Garden Threads. I know Just Keep Stitching, Pam and Steph were talking about it just recently on their latest video that I just watched yesterday. And somebody else had mentioned it. So I know Pam and Steph are giving away one of the thread packs, I think, on their channel. So they were contacted by Cottage Garden Threads, and they are beautiful threads. I've stitched with a couple of them, and they are gorgeous. I've subbed them in, because you know me, I like to stitch from stash, so I sub in. If I needed a beautiful pink, you know, I could pick one of these that just came in, and I could sub it in my piece. So that was my haul. Now, I'm going to show the couple of diamond paintings that I have finished recently. So for any of you that aren't interested in diamond painting, it's only going to probably take me a couple minutes, a few minutes to show them. I wish you a good couple of weeks or a month, however long it, well, actually in a couple of weeks, I'll be gone to my retreat. So, it'll probably be a month, because between that and, I know my husband and I got some honey-do lists around here for spring and different things going on. I've just been busier, because in the winter, things are kind of slow after the holidays for a month or two, but then kind of gears up in the spring. And then I hibernate a little bit in the summertime, although I have a big trip planned with my mom. We're going to cross country I think, this year, and go see my daughter. We're going to go see family in Texas. We're going to go see my daughter out in Colorado. So I think we're driving from Virginia all the way out west. And I want to see Mount Rushmore, and so does she. And we may go to places like Dodge City or wherever. Go out and do a travel across the country this year. My mom will be turning 80 years old in November. So we're going to do a big hoopla trip and go back and see family and stuff like that. Because I'm originally from out west. My family is. My dad was in the military. He was a naval chief also. He was a senior chief in the Navy. Retired out here in Virginia, in Washington, D.C., actually. And I got transplanted out here. So I'm actually a West Coast girl, but been on the East Coast for many, many years. Because my dad retired over 30 years ago here in Virginia. And I met my first husband here and got married, had kids here. My first husband was a firefighter, so his career was here. So just stayed here in Virginia all these years. But originally from out west. A lot of Texas ties, California, Missouri, and places like that, Oklahoma. So I think I have relatives buried on an Indian reservation in Oklahoma. I've never been to their graves, but I believe my grandparents' parents were buried out there. Part of the Cherokee, is it Cherokee? I believe so. No, Navajo? I don't remember. One of those Indian tribes. So, and there's a big reservation out in Oklahoma where, and I know a lot of them are out in Utah. Is it Navajo or Cherokee? I think it's Cherokee. Navajo. Nope, I'm Navajo. That's what it is. Look at me, I'm Navajo. You would never guess it, because I'm like an eighth, something like that. I'm not much. I think my grandfather was 3/4 Navajo. My mom's dad, something like that. So, but I'm mostly from out west. Got transplanted on the East Coast. None of my family live. My sister's still here in Virginia. And my parents had retired down to Florida years ago, right before my dad passed away. So my mom's still in Florida. But other than that, other than my immediate family, my sister and my mom, that's all I have on the East Coast for family. All the rest of my family's out west. So if I want to go see family, I go west. Go west, young lady. So that's what I'm going to do. My mom and I are going to travel out there. We're going to go see a lot of the countryside that we have not seen. I haven't been up to the Dakotas, and I've never been to Colorado and Wyoming. I want to go up to that portion. After we hit Texas, we go through Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri. I don't know if we're going to stop and see family in Missouri or not. I still have an aunt out there, my Aunt Rhonda. We could, but I still have quite a bit of family in Texas, so I'm going to go see them for sure. Big rodeo going on in my dad's hometown down there, so we're going to go check that out. Go to the biggest free barbecue in the world there. So we're going to be doing that kind of stuff, staying with family and, you know, having fun. I'm rambling now. So I'm going to show my diamond painting real quick. The first diamond painting, this is one that took up some of my time, and for a couple of weeks there, I was working a lot on it. This one is by Dreamer Designs. This is the first one I've done from Dreamer Designs. I usually do Diamond Art Club. All my other ones are Diamond Art Club. But this one is Dreamer Designs, and this one's called Wine on the Window. And let me see if I can hold it up high enough to... So this one was inspired, my husband and I have been to Tuscany and loved it. So down here in our basement, we have a bar area, and I want to frame it and hang it in our bar area. I hope you can hear me. I'm talking from behind it because it's so big I can't see you. Hello. So here we go. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at this sparkle. Just reminded me so much of Tuscany. I mean, this is literally what it looks like. Well, not all sparkly, but that really is how the Tuscan countryside looks. Let me see if I can slide that one over. And then this one I want to frame really soon because I keep a seasonal piece, a large diamond painting piece on one of the walls in my foyer, right by my front door. And right now I still have a winter piece hanging there. I don't have a spring diamond painting done, but this one I finished last year and I need to put it in the frame that I bought for it. Found the frame. And this one is by Diamond Art Club, and this one called Sea Breeze Trail. So this one will be for summertime. And this is this one. Can you see it? Let me hold it up. Ugh. I don't know if I can, let me see if I can get up on my knees and back up a little bit. So this one is Sea Breeze Trail by Diamond Art Club. Isn't that beautiful? This one is a square drill, and the other one was round. So this one's done with square diamonds. Let me see if I can bring it in close where you can see. You can see the square diamonds on this one. If you've never diamond painted before, this is kind of what diamond painting can look like when you finish it. Okay. So this one's a square, and I'll show you up close this circle. Circles are easier. So if you've never diamond painted before and you want to get started, I would recommend starting with a circle one because I think circles are easier to do. So this one's circle. If I get real close, you'll go see that there are circles. They're little circular dots. I don't know if you could see that. Okay. So and it's charted like DMC. The canvas, if you've never diamond painted before, the canvas has the symbols on it. And you have a chart with symbols and the DMC number, because they follow a DMC number. I know Diamond Art Club does, and so does Dreamer Designs. So the colors are just like DMC colors, where 310 is black, you know, etc. So and when you get a diamond painting like Diamond Art Club or Dreamer Designs, you know, every diamond kit that I know of comes already with your pen, your wax, a little tray to pour your diamonds in, all of your diamonds, the canvas that's already all charted out for you. And all you got to do is pick the color, the corresponding color. They come in bags, and I get containers. That's the only thing that your diamond painting. Right now I'm working on a large one. I mean large, 50 inches long. It's going to go behind the sofa in the TV room probably when I finish it, because it's going to take a while though. For my husband, he is a big Marvel, Justice League, Avengers, all that kind of stuff. He loves that. He loves Star Wars, Star Trek, all that stuff too. Mandalorian. But I saw this Avenger chart, Diamond Art Club painting, and it was half price. So I thought, you know what? It's a big thing. I think it's like 27 inches long, high and 50 inches wide approximately. And it's square drills. But let me go get what I use, what I prefer, my favorite bead storage. Let me go get one. I use this one in my, this right now has the beads in it for my Batman event, the Justice League diamond painting that I'm doing for him. So I'm not going to pick it up because you're not going to be able to see it. I'm going to have to take a picture of it and put it on Instagram whenever I finish it or something. It's longer. I'm going to have to stand across a room to be able to show you the whole thing. But here's a little sticker that came that has the picture. That's the diamond painting. It's called Batman Hush. Okay, so it comes with like 54 different colors. And I use what's called the Elizabeth Ward containers. I order these off of Amazon. So if you're interested in diamond painting or you diamond paint, but you don't know, because the diamond paintings come in little plastic bags, and I have some in the drawer, but not here. So this is an Elizabeth Ward container. It comes with this clear lid that snaps on, has these two clamps. And I get the one with the variety of sizes. Some of the containers are big and some are small. And then Diamond Art Club always gives you stickers that you can use, because that was what was here. This was where all the stickers were. You just peel them off and put them on your container, pour your beads in your container, and you're good to go. You're ready. So like this one here is the color 312, and then it shows the symbol. So that symbol, everywhere that symbol is on the canvas, you just stick a dot. You put wax in your pen, and that you pick up a bead after you've poured it into a little tray that they provide. Pick up a bead and you put it on the canvas. Pick up a bead, put it on the canvas. Pick up the bead till you do all of those colors in an area. Then you go on to your next color in the area. But I love these Elizabeth Ward containers. They just snap closed. You can pour them in and out of here easily. They just snap. When you're picking it up out of the tray, it has little indents here for you to be able to grab it and pull it out. I don't have small children. I don't have cats that I have to worry about spilling my diamond paint. I have 2 little dogs, and they don't get up on my table where I do this in the craft room. So this is my, most of my beads. I have some more over there on the table for this Batman Hush one that I'm working on right now. So I like the Elizabeth Ward containers. That's what I use. And then I put the sticker that they give you for it inside my Elizabeth Ward container. And then I know that these are the beads for Batman Hush, because I have a few other diamond paintings that I have kitted up. So this is how like I said, they come in little bags. You cut the bag open. The bags are not resealable, but they do give you some resealable little baggies, but it's a pain to pour them in and out of a little baggie. It's easier to get some kind of container to put your beads in. I can go in my drawer over here in the dresser and get out and show you what the bead bags look like. Let me get one really quick. This Batman piece, this Batman Hush, has gazillions of beads. So what I do is I pour in a bag of beads, or in the big containers, I can get 2 or 3 bags of beads in one of the big ones. And I had 310 in a big one. I'll show you. This held like 3 bags of beads. And I've already used up that many already. And I'm only probably the whole length and that far in on the piece. But this is my 310 diamonds, beads, drills. And this is how they come to you. The beads will come in bags. These are all 310 beads. So, these are all the black beads that I have for this piece. So it'll come where it's labeled. I'm just going to be able to see that. It's a little light on here. Oops, I can't have it upside down. It says 310. And you have to cut it open. I use a little pair of scissors. I cut it open. I dump it into my container. So, yeah. I have a million more bags. So these would be too hard to use. I prefer to get containers for my pieces. So, and that's how I do my diamond painting. And it's easy. It's very relaxing. if you're tired, you know, I hear some stitchers say, I'm tired, I was too tired to stitch, or they'll say, or my eyes are tired, I like to work on, you know, something on 14 count or on Ada because my eyes are tired. Diamond painting is easy. I also get a light pad. I have a light pad that I plug in. I lay it on my desk. You can use like a lot of people like to have a drafting desk because it'll elevate your piece and then you're not looking down so much. But I don't mind because I'm sitting kind of right at my desk and I'm only looking down a little bit. Not too bad. So these are all the extra beads for that Batman Hush piece because there's a lot of diamonds. But I use a light pad. I have I don't know, A4 size. It's fairly big, and I lay it flat on my desk, and then I lay my diamond painting on top of it. And then I rolled up all of the extra diamond painting. I could pick you guys up and take you over there. I just don't want to shake you guys up too much. Let me go ahead and do that. Let me see what I can do. Well, I can't flip it around because I can't flip it around while I'm, let me see what I can do. So over at my desk, oh, sorry, you're seeing a little bit of my craft room here. I'm trying not to make you sick. I put release papers on my piece. Let me see if I can tip you guys down. But there's my Batman Hush piece. Now underneath, oh, I can't see what you guys are seeing. This is not going to work too well. Underneath here, I have a light pad. So if I turn that light pad on, I hope I'm not making you guys sick. And then I have release papers. But if you look really close, I think you can see the symbols on my chart, on my piece. So I just sit here and I work like that. So let me try to bring you back around. I don't know what you guys were seeing. If that came out to be a whole pig's ear of a mess, I apologize. I apologize. Let me see if I can get you guys back where you were. Yeah, that doesn't work too well. I can't flip the camera back around. I can't flip it around while it's filming, while it's recording. And I don't know how to, I can't figure out how to splice two. I can't stop it and start it and splice it together. I'm not tech savvy that way too well. So that is my diamond painting. That's how I do that. I use a light pad. You don't have to. So the only added expenses I have to my diamond painting, really, on top of what a kit comes with, is just containers and a light pad. Otherwise, they give you a pen, the wax, all of the diamonds, the canvas, and all of that kind of stuff. So that's diamond painting. I think that is it. I think that is it. I don't have anything else to show you guys. So like I said, I will be leaving in about a week and a half or whatever for my retreat. A couple of weeks, I'll be gone for a few days. So I probably am not going to get another video up for another month. It'll be a few weeks, more than likely. I don't like to promise I'm coming back in 2 weeks because that doesn't seem to work for me. I'm sorry. But I always hope to have a lot to show you guys when I do come back. I don't want to just do a video that I show like 3 things or 2 things. And that's my thinking too. Sometimes, like, I thought about doing, you know how people do Stitch Mania? In my head, while I'm stitching, I sit there and I think of things that I want to do with my stitching. And I was like, maybe I'll do Monogamania. I think I heard somebody mention that. And I was like, Monogamania. And really work on one piece and get a lot done on it. Could I do it? And then I thought, well, I don't know if I could stay stuck to one piece. I'd have to pick something that I think I could work on for a whole month and not get too bored with working on one thing. But then the other thing I thought of, if I do a Monogamania, I'm going to come on here and show you guys one whip for the whole month. So I was like, I don't know how that's going to work because I don't want to just show you one thing. But then I thought, I don't know, I could do Monogamania that is basically monogamania, to work on one piece for each week, just because that's monogamous enough for me. Usually I'm working on a piece for 1 to 3 days. So if I worked on one piece the whole week, first week of the month, then the second week of the month, and the third weeks, and the fourth week, at least I'd have 4. So I don't know, maybe. We'll see. That's still a month away. Gosh, it's April already. Did I tell you I'm getting old? It's my birthday this month. Getting old. My husband reminded me the other day, he goes, oh, your birthday's coming up in a couple of weeks. And I'm like, yeah, it is, isn't it? Because my mother-in-law's, my husband's stepmother's birthday is today. It's actually today. That's right, April 4th. We're both April babies. And she was saying something about she don't count them anymore. She wanted to know how old she is. And I said, can I start that? Can I start it in 60s? You know, just to say, I don't know. So anyways, I'm rambling. I'm rambling. I count myself blessed to actually have had 61 years to walk this earth. So, you know, and I still have fairly good health. So I'm not complaining. Not complaining. Have a few wrinkles, have a few scars, things like that. But, oh my gosh, I put the camera back even lower down. I'm ahead. So that is my video for this time. So I wish you guys a lot of health, happiness, and lots of good stitching or crafting, whatever you do. If you start diamond painting, if you felt inspired to start a diamond painting, let me know. I mean, can't we all use another craft? Yeah. I keep telling myself, I don't need another craft. I diamond paint, I cross stitch, I do crocheting and knitting. I haven't done that in a while, but I do know how to crochet and knit. And I do painting and coloring and artwork kind of stuff. I'm not an artist, but I do like to do, mess around with paints and colors and things and pencils. And what else do I do? Oh, scrapbooking, paper crafting. Haven't done that in a little while. Right now, I think my main 2 crafting things that I've been doing lately are diamond painting and stitching, but mostly stitching still. But I do, in the mornings, I've been coming in and just for the first hour, because like I said, I might be still half asleep. My eyes aren't kind of woke up all the way. And I can come down and I can diamond paint for an hour, you know, in the morning. So I've been doing that lately, just diamond painting for an hour in the morning. And I'm contemplating quilting. You know, I've quilted before in the past. Am I a great quilter? No, because I'm not a real good seamstress. Do I sew? I can. I've made project bags using Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, her tutorial. I've made some of these project bags are ones I've made. And I've got material cut out to make some more. So I need to get my sewing machine out and do that. I don't have my sewing machine in the craft room because I don't like being just ahead. I'm going to sit up on my knees. I don't normally sew a lot. So my sewing machine is sitting in the storage area on a bench, but I bring it into our game table in the TV room and I can set up there and sew. I could bring it in here and put it on my crafting table, but right now I have it all set up for diamond painting. So whenever I want to sew project bags, I go in there and I sew in there. And sometimes I don't sew just because I don't want to, if my husband's really into a show that he's watching, I don't want to be making a bunch of noise with the sewing machine. And sometimes too at night, the only way I can have light over on that side of the TV room is to turn on the overhead lights in the room. And they are pot lights, and there's probably about 10 of them. And the room lights up really well. But sometimes when he's watching TV, he doesn't want all that light in the room, you know. And I understand. I'm the same way. I don't want, if you're trying to relax and just watch a movie and you just want, you know, a lamp on and kind of watch it like movie theater style almost. We just usually watch TV with just a lamp or two. But when I really need to see, I need to turn on the overhead lights. Now, when I cross stitch in there, I have a small lamp light that I clamp onto a rechargeable light that's kind of goosenecked, and it just clamps onto my stitching. Or I also have a reading light. I have a long floor lamp that has a side reading light that I can turn on and point down at my work. And that works too. So I have a small lighted area. But when I'm sewing all the way on the other side of the room, and I'm ironing, because I got the ironing board set up so I can press open my seams, and I've got the machine and an area for me to cut and, you know, piece my pieces together, you know, clip them together so I can go over to the sewing machine and sew. I need the whole area lit up, and then I light up the whole room. So, yeah. So I do sew some, but I think that's it. I think that's most of the crafting things that I do. Sometimes people are like, oh, have you heard of this new craft or that new craft? And I'm like, no, 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 la, 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 la. I don't need another craft. I've got enough. I've got enough to keep me busy for the rest of my life. But I love it. And it gives me stuff to do and enjoy and relax and decompress and things like that. So I do love my crafting. That is my thing. That's my hobby. I don't have a whole bunch of other hobbies, really. I do things like with my husband or something. We go out and we go touring places. We'll go into DC and see the Smithsonian's or whatever. We haven't done that since before COVID, but we do that, or we go out and check out areas of Virginia, or, you know, just stuff. That is it. I've said that, I think, 5 times. I keep rambling. I wish you guys the best. I wish you guys a great, like I said, great April. Let's just say have a great April. And I will get back with you guys hopefully by the end of the month or the 1st of May. May? Yep, May. We're going to be almost halfway through the year before I know it. So have fun with your crafting. Let me know if you do start some diamond painting. If you got inspired to order a kit and try it out, let me know. Let me know. Let me know what you're stitching on. I love the comments. I love seeing what you guys are working on. I love, even though I'm not super active on social media, I'm not super active on my Instagram account, I'm not super active on my Facebook group. I don't really put a lot on there, but I open the Facebook group so I can see what you are stitching on for the most part. I just want to see what other people are doing. I get to show you guys what I'm doing. I want to see what you guys are working on. I love that you follow me on my journey. I want to follow you on your journey. I want to see what you guys are doing. I love it. I love the interaction. I love the tips. I got a bunch of tips on, you know, how people work with their patterns. You know, they make working copies, they tape things together, they take it to Kinko's or FedEx or whatever, make big copies, different ways that people work on their stuff. And you get ideas. So if you want ideas, read the comments sometimes on people's videos like mine. I know there's good tips and tricks and hints and things like that on my comments, and I'm sure there are on other Flosstuber comments. So, you know, people get back with me and give me great ideas and stuff like that. So, oh, like one of them on my Maps of Hot Run. I think I buried it. I'm rambling again, but on my Maps of Hot Run, where did I bury that piece? I've been throwing them over here in a pile. I think it's in this bag. I talked about my elf horse, and I didn't talk about him this time. It's not in this bag. Oh my goodness. So if you watched my last video, sorry that I'm like going out of camera here. Here it is. My Map of Hot Run, I have a little horse on here that's pulling a wagon. It's taking this, like, I guess, farmer in his wagon with his bales of hay or whatever. And I said he looked like Alf from back in the 80s, maybe early 90s. There was a character, there was a TV show called Alf, and it was a little orange puppet alien thing. And I said that my horse looked like Alf. See, he still looks like Alf. I have not fixed his little muzzle there, his nose. So there's my Alf horse. He's even the color of Alf, and he has that funky nose. And I had a commenter, I forgot her name, and she said, why don't you leave it like that? Because that way, every time you see it, because it's small, it's not like people are going to walk up and go, oh my gosh, what's wrong with your horse? Every time they even glance at this picture. Who's going to notice that that horse's nose is, his muzzle's stitched off, you know, maybe 1 or 2 stitches. And she said, that way you will know. And you, every time you see it, you know, I think I could have a chuckle and think about Alf. And it was one of the shows that my older daughter liked. She had an Alf doll when she was little. Somebody got it for her. So, I mean, she was little. Let's see. Gosh, she was born in 85, so maybe she was watching it 89, 90, something like that. She was little, 4 or 5 years old when that show was on, 4, 5, 6. So she loved it. My other one was, she was a baby. She was probably 2 and 3 when that show was on, so she doesn't remember Alf, I'm sure. So, but it would remind me of that memory. It's like, oh, Alf, look at my Alf horse. And I remember my daughter loved Alf when she was little. She also loved the show. It was on HBO back in the day. And it was called Fraggle Rock. And it had these little puppets that would run around. And as soon as you hear that doon, 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 the theme song of it, she'd come running. I could turn it on and I'd be like, oh, Fraggle Rock's coming on. Let me turn it on. And she'd be off in some other room. She'd come running in, plop herself down and watch it. And she was like 4 or 5 then when Fraggle Rock was on. She called it Craggle Rock. Oh, I want to watch Craggle Rock. So she enjoyed it. She loved it. I'm looking my other dog. My one's in here on her dog bed. Had to take her to the vet today. Not for anything bad, just for her regular checkup. She had to go get a rabies booster, and she had to have a heartworm check. So they had to take a blood sample. So she's over laying on her dog bed. She had a little adventure today, but her sister just walked in, and now she's coming in checking out the area. Aren't ya? They're both looking a little scruffy. Next week they go to the groomers, so they need it. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're looking a little bit. The older dog, they're both Morkies. They're Maltese Yorkie mixes. The older dog looks like I say she looks like a Wookiee. When her face fur gets fluffier, and she loves to walk along like the couch edge or the ottoman and rub her body along it. And sometimes she'll pick up static and it makes her face even fluffier, or she smooths it all back. And she looks like a Wookiee off of, what is that? Star Wars. So we laugh and we say she's brushing her hair, and it's like, oh my gosh, now she looks like a Wookiee. So anyways, from Alf to Fraggle Rock to Wookiees, I'm out. You guys have a great month and lots of stitching and happiness, health, and lots of fun things this month. I'm wishing you guys the best. And thank you for tuning in again and sticking with me this long. And love you guys. Bye.